Hey, deep divers, get ready to go way back in time to a world of giants. We're diving deep into the discovery of Vasuki Indicus, a truly enormous prehistoric snake. We've got excerpts from a three-part series on this crazy find, and oh man, it's packed with amazing details.
You know what really stood out to me about this discovery? The location. Vasuki Indicus was found in the Naredi Formation in Gujarat, India. And that place is already well known for prehistoric discoveries.
So it wasn't just some random place they were digging.
Not at all. The Naredi Formation is like a time capsule from the Eocene. It's about 47 million years ago. It's this incredible glimpse into a world so different from our own.
Okay, I need a picture. What was the Eocene like?
Imagine lush tropical forests, way warmer than today, a perfect environment for reptiles to just thrive. And like we're about to find out, some of them grew to absolutely enormous sizes.
All right, I'm ready. Let's talk about the discovery. What did the paleontologists actually find?
Well, we found a bunch of vertebrae 27 to be exact, and some of them were articulated.
Articulate, you mean connected together?
Exactly, and for paleontologists, that's huge. Having these vertebrae together in their original order gives us a much clearer picture of the snake's structure and how it might have moved.
Okay, that's with the technical stuff. How big was this thing?
Based on these vertebrae, they think Vasuki indicus could have been 49 feet long. That's longer than a school bus.
Whoa, that's way bigger than even the biggest anacondas today.
It really changes what we thought was possible for a snake that lived on land. Makes you wonder what other massive creatures might have been around back then.
I read that the team behind the discovery was pretty impressive too.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was led by Dr. Sunil Bajpai and Debajit Datta, both super well-known paleontologists with tons of experience researching prehistoric reptiles.
Sounds like they really hit the jackpot with this one. You know what really caught my attention though? The name they chose, Vasuki Indicus. It's not every day you hear about a prehistoric creature named after a mythical snake king.
That's right. In Hindu mythology, Vasuki is incredibly powerful, often shown with lots of heads and associated with stuff like rebirth, transformation, even immortality.
It makes you wonder why they chose that name. It can't just be because it sounds cool. Right.
I think it points to a deeper connection. Thousands of years ago, people were already amazed by snakes. They saw them as having divine power. The name Vasuki Indicus blends scientific discovery with this rich cultural heritage. It's this cool bridge between the past and the present.
Makes you wonder if those ancient beliefs like shaped how they treated nature, like did it affect how they tried to protect the environment? I mean, you wouldn't name a huge snake after a powerful god if you didn't respect it, right?
That's a really interesting question and one that anthropologists would definitely want to dig into more. But for now, let's get back to Vasuki Indicus. Remember, we're talking about a snake that existed in a totally different world.
Right, the Eocene epoch, dense tropical forests, way warmer.
Exactly. And those conditions were key in letting reptiles like Vasuki Indicus grow to such huge sizes.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about how climate and reptile size are connected.
Think about it this way. The Eocene was like a natural experiment. It shows us how warmer temperatures can affect how big reptiles can get. We know that reptiles are ectothermic.
Ectothermic.
It means they rely on outside sources of heat to control their body temperature.
So warmer climate means more energy to grow.
Exactly. And during the Eocene, there was a ton of food around to help them grow. We're talking big mammals, other reptiles, even early birds all over the place.
Okay, now I'm picturing this 49-foot snake with a giant appetite to match. What could it have even eaten?
Well, the Eocene fossil record from that area shows there were lots of different prey animals, primitive rhinos, big crocodiles, even some early whales along the coast.
Whales. Are you saying this snake might have hunted in the water too?
We can't know for sure, but it's definitely possible. We know that some snakes today, like anacondas, live part of their lives in the water, and they can take down big prey there. Given how big Vasuki Indicus was and the environment it lived in, it's totally believable that it might have gone into the water too.
That just makes this creature even more interesting. But how do we know all this just from a few vertebrae?
It's pretty amazing what paleontologists can learn just from bones. The vertebrae, especially the ones found connected together, they're like a blueprint showing how the snake moved.
So they can tell if Vasuki Indicus was built for speed or constriction or maybe even climbing trees?
Yeah, they can look at the shape, size, and how the vertebrae fit together to understand how flexible it was, where its muscles attached, and basically how it moved around. It's like putting together a puzzle.
And comparing those pieces to modern snakes helps fill in the blanks.
Exactly. By looking at the skeletons of snakes alive today, we can guess how Vasuki Indicus might have hunted what it ate. even how it interacted with other animals in its ecosystem.
It's like looking into a lost world, you know? It's not just the science that's so cool, it's the feeling you get from this discovery. It's like we've touched something ancient, something that connects us to a time long ago.
I know what you mean. It really makes you realize that the world we live in has this deep, fascinating history, and we're just starting to understand it.
And to think all this started with just a few vertebrae from a mine in India, it's crazy to think that big discoveries can happen anywhere.
That's what I love about paleontology. It reminds us that the past isn't really gone. It's just hidden, waiting for us to uncover it.
We were talking earlier about the Eocene being like a natural experiment, showing us how warmer temperatures could make reptiles bigger. I'm curious what would have to happen for us to see snakes as big as Vasuki indicus again. Is that even possible today?
That's a great question. And it's not just about temperature. It's a whole bunch of things working together, like how much food there is, competition, and even evolution.
So even if the climate got a lot warmer, we wouldn't necessarily see giant reptiles again.
Right. Evolution doesn't always work in a predictable way. But studying creatures like Vasuki indicus can help us figure out the limits of how big reptiles can grow and how those limits might change under certain conditions.
It really makes you think about what those ancient ecosystems were like, a 49-foot snake just moving through the forest. It's scary, but also kind of awesome.
It definitely makes us rethink what's possible in nature, but I think it also teaches us something important about our own relationship with the planet. The Eocene shows us how much ecosystems can change over time and how those changes can shape how life evolves.
So it's not just about digging up old bones, it's about understanding how life works both in the past and now.
Exactly. It's about realizing that we're part of this huge journey of evolution, and what we do today can affect things for generations to come. Just like the Eocene's warm climate allowed giant reptiles to exist, the choices we make now will shape the future of our planet and all the life on it.
We've covered a lot in this deep dive, from the discovery itself to the snake's anatomy, its environment, and even its connection to mythology. What do you think is the most important thing we learned? What does Vasuki Indicus teach us about the past and maybe even the future?
I think it shows us that everything is connected. Vasuki Indicus is proof of the power of evolution, the impact of climate, and even how fascinated we are with snakes. It reminds us that nature is full of surprises. And the more we learn about the past, the better we can understand the future.
You've definitely given me a lot to think about. What about you, listeners? What stood out to you the most? Let us know what you found interesting about our deep dive into the world of Vasuki Indicus. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and remember, sometimes the most amazing discoveries are right under our feet.